Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. Welcome back today to another video. We are going to discuss the latest Everton news and rumours once again. It is Monday afternoon. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all have had a good start to your week. Monday is, by a lot of people's estimations, the worst day of the week, so hopefully it hasn't been too bad for yourself. We have had some breaking transfer news over the last couple of hours or so, coming in from Fabrizio Romano, Paul Joyce, Sky Sports, everywhere really at the moment, and that is, according to Fabrizio Romano, Everton have reached an agreement in principle with Sporting to sign Youssef Chermiti as new striker. Deal in place between clubs, verbally agreed in the recent hours for the 2004 born striker to join the Premier League side. Sports Pete O'Rourke then reported that Everton, Wolves and Bournemouth are all interested in Southampton's Che Adams, and Everton are closing in on the signing of Youssef Chermiti from Sporting, but will pursue another striker signing this summer. 00 PT, who are a Portuguese publication, I believe, they have reported that Everton will pay around €15 million for Youssef Chermiti, and Sporting will gain 10% from any future sales. Record Portugal, who are quite a big Portuguese football Twitter page, a lot of the things that they report come over from obviously Portuguese media and stuff, and they have reported that Everton will pay €15 million for Youssef Chermiti, which could potentially rise to €20 million via goals, as in him scoring goals. Sporting wish to insert a 20% sell-on clause in the deal, but Everton have only offered 10%. So it seems like Everton are well underway in their talks with Sporting for the young 19-year-old striker. The Bobble also reporting that a deal up to €50 million is currently being negotiated, and Paul Joyce reporting Everton looking to close a deal for Sporting Lisbon centre-forward Youssef Chermiti. He made his debut last season and scored 3 goals in 16 appearances. Everton are still searching for other attacking reinforcements. A little bit of a scout report on the young striker, 19 years of age, 6'3", 16 games last season, 3 goals, 51.7% of his shots were on target, 2 assists, 168 minutes per goal contribution, so a goal contribution every 168 minutes, and 51.6% of his aerial duels won, and he had an average of a 6.5 rating in the games that he played. Rafael Leao, who of course is a very talented Portuguese forward. He tweeted in February, "My twin, Youssef Chermiti." That means very little, but I thought it was worth talking about anyway because it was interesting. And yeah, it seems by all accounts that Everton have decided to bring in the young striker. Again, look, I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know an awful lot about Youssef Chermiti. I know very little about the player. I obviously had, like many of us, probably not really heard of him before this afternoon, but when you hear that Everton are interested in a player, you do a little bit of research, you have a little bit of a look, and you can gauge sort of a roundabout idea about what he can bring and what he will bring to the football club. I think it's fair to say, even without having seen him play or knowing an awful lot about him, he's very clearly a highly rated forward. I've seen a couple of Sporting pages on social media talking about how they'll be disappointed if they let him leave for €15 million. They are looking for wanting more like 25, 30, 40 million euros for him. They very highly rate him. He's obviously a young kid. He's 19 years old, born in 2004, as Fabrizio Romano states. Very raw. Last season was only his first season in professional football, making his debut, getting 3 goals, which is, a decent return in your first season as a professional forward, especially a striker, but obviously meaning that he's very rare. He's very, sort of young and obviously inexperienced at this point. Now, would this be a good signing for Everton? I don't know. I've never seen him play football. I've never seen him kick a ball. I've never seen him score. His stats seem like they make a package of a good young up-and-coming player. His height, his physical presence seems like it's all there. Obviously, he's got a lot to work on, and obviously he's got a lot of improvement to do, and he's got a lot of time to do that because he is only 19 years old. But again, I can't outright sit here and say this will be an unbelievable sign and he's an amazing player. I've seen him 100 times before, he's great, because I haven't. However, it seems like the type of signing that we would want Everton to be doing. 19 years old, €50 million. Again, in the grand scheme of football, not a lot of money, but with Everton's situation and with how delicate Everton's financial situation is, it is quite a considerable amount of money. However, if he can come in and he can have an impact on the first team straight away, and then you've got a striker for the next 5, 6, 7 years to come, then, obviously it would be a good, it would be a good buy-in, and we would likely get a good return on that €50 million, even if we don't have him for the next 5, 6, 7 years to come. If he comes in, he does well this season, and then he maybe stays another season, does well, then we'll likely be able to move him on for quite a big profit. Again, the profile of player Everton should be looking at: young, up-and-coming, good stats, burst on the scene, highly rated. But obviously, whether or not he's going to be able to come in and be a starting striker for Everton and score 15 Premier League goals next season is massively up in the air, and probably not going to happen. So what I think would be necessary with this deal is, I still think we would have to sign another striker. Paul Joyce is one of the journalists reporting that Everton would still be in the hunt for another striker, even if they did do the deal for Chermiti. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce his name, by the way. It reads Chermiti, so Chermiti is what is my Scouse pronunciation of this name. But, again, I think we would be more comfortable. I think if Everton signed Youssef Chermiti and then went out and bought, even if we signed Kelechi Iheanacho, even if we signed Che Adams, somebody of that ilk, Armando Broja on loan, who would become available, obviously, because I highly doubt he's going to get much game time at Chelsea. I think there would be much more sort of comfortability around this deal if we went out and signed a player that's already played in the Premier League, has had a relatively okay scoring record in the Premier League, to go next to Youssef Chermiti, so there wasn't just an overall sort of pressure on him to be the number one, 10, 15 goal a season striker next season, because we all know that is what we need. So, yeah, have I heard of him before? No. Did I know who he was before, 12 o'clock this afternoon? No. Have I ever seen him play football? No. Am I massively excited that he could be coming to Everton and now desperately wanting to sign for Everton and think he could be one of the best signings we've made in recent years? Yes, because that's football and that's what we do and that's what it's all about, isn't it? As I said, it is sort of in an agreement in principle stage at this moment, so there's obviously still a lot of work to be done on that front. Medicals, an actual deal agreed on paper and in writing, who knows, it may be Atalanta will come in with a late bid for him, or somebody else will come in with a late bid for him, and we'll go through all of that El Bilal Toure stuff all over again and the Danjuma stuff all over again. But hopefully this is one Everton can get over the line. He's very clearly quite a highly rated forward. Again, I'm not saying he's good enough to go straight in and be our starting Premier League striker next season, but if we can get, somebody that can go in and do that job, whether that be an Iheanacho, Che Adams, I'm using these names because these are players we've been linked with recently, and then you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin there as well, and then you've got Chermiti that can come off the bench and have an impact and play in some of the cup games and maybe start a couple of Premier League games. Then all of a sudden our forward options obviously look a lot healthier than what they do at the moment. He's the right profile of striker that I want Everton to be going for, in terms of his height and his physical presence, and we'll see if we can get this one over the line. But as of now, according to Fabrizio Romano and various other sources, Everton have reached an agreement in principle with Sporting to sign Youssef Chermiti as their new striker. Deal in place between the clubs, and it was verbally agreed in the recent hours. And Everton will pay £15 million for the €50 million, for the player, up to €50 million. Again, the sell-on value, the 10% sell-on clause for Sporting Lisbon, wanting 20%, 10%. It doesn't surprise me that they want a sell-on clause for the player, because they obviously believe he's going to go on and do quite big things. A lot of people will compare this to the Moise Kean deal because it's a young player coming over from a European country who hasn't necessarily established himself yet, but has shown all of the potential and all of the promise to establish himself, and he's coming over at that stage. Moise Kean is very much like that, very highly rated, very promising young striker, but obviously it was a risk because of his age and because he hadn't quite got to the level that he needed to yet. It didn't quite work out for Moise Kean. there's every chance it mightn't work out for Youssef Chermiti, but there's every chance it might work out for Youssef Chermiti as well. So we'll wait and see how this one progresses over the coming days, but it is certainly an interesting bit of news to have read whilst I was ordering a Costa coffee this afternoon. Anyway, moving on, Everton will face Italian side FC Monza in a behind closed doors training game tomorrow. That obviously will come as the penultimate pre-season game, obviously with the final pre-season game against Sporting themselves this weekend. Again, Sean Dyche very clearly feels that the team need another game, or maybe this is an opportunity for players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get some minutes without the added pressure of everybody watching him and everybody judging him. Dan Juma to maybe get 60 minutes in this game so he can play, 80, 90 minutes against Sporting. Again, a good opportunity for players to get out there again, and for Sean Dyche to have another look at the squad as it stands now, and maybe even a chance to have a look at where we need to improve ahead of that game against Sporting. One thing's for sure is Youssef Chermiti, one way or another, will be in Liverpool at the weekend and will be probably at Goodison Park at the weekend, whether that's as an Everton player or whether that's as a Sporting player. He will very much likely be there. So, yeah. According to the Daily Express Sport, Everton have had a loan bid rejected from Manchester City's Rico Lewis. Brighton, Southampton and other teams have also had a rejected bid. I think Rico Lewis is a fantastic player. He obviously has impressed massively at Manchester City at the moment. Has done really well in their pre-season camps, I believe. I watch a few Manchester City channels and a lot of them have spoke very highly of him. Is it likely he will come to Everton? I don't think it is. Not because I don't think Manchester City want to loan him out. I just think the way Manchester City play, the way Pep Guardiola wants Manchester City to play, and the way Pep Guardiola will want Rico Lewis to play in years to come, and Manchester City will want Rico Lewis to play in years to come. I just don't think Everton at this current moment fits that bill. Will he get a lot of game time in this team? Well, it's easy to say, yeah, he plays for Manchester City and he looks good there, so obviously he'll get an Everton team, but that's not quite how it works. Sean Dyche might want a more experienced player there. Sean Dyche might look at him and go, he's a little bit too young. And ultimately, if he's not going to come over and play, if he's not going to come to Everton and play every week, then it's not really benefiting Manchester City. Whereas teams like Brighton, who play a better brand of football, he might get in there a little bit more frequently. I could see him more likely going there than Manchester City wanting him to come and play for Everton, because I just think Everton's style of football and way of playing football is a million miles away from Manchester City's at the moment. So Manchester City loaning a young player for Everton with the view of that young player becoming a permanent fixture in the Manchester City team in the future just doesn't really make sense to me. And that's just me being brutally honest. The only way I could see this happening, or any player coming from Manchester City on loan, is if Manchester City aren't really that interested in keeping that player and are thinking, right, put him on loan and then maybe they'll put a bid in the summer and we can sell him. Whereas I don't think that's the case with Rico Lewis. I think they'd more than likely want to keep a hold of him in the future. Sean Dyche has been talking about Everton's transfer business recently. He said there's been situations we've been in where we thought we were going to get it over the line and we don't, and that's the way it goes. Again, obviously talking about the El Bilal Touré situation there. I said it the other day when we done the video. That's what it is in football. Sometimes in football, you are interested in a player, you're in advanced negotiations with a player, another team is in advanced negotiations with the same player, and the player chooses the other team instead, and that's just the way that it is. You can't do anything about it. Everton can't do anything about it. It is just the way it is, and we have to, accept it and move on. And I think as a fan base, we've quite quickly moved on from El Bilal Touré. Now, we signed for Atalanta, and I say this all the time. I say this when players leave Everton. The moment you leave Everton, I don't care what you do. Don't care who you sign for. Don't care how you play. Don't care if you're great. Don't care if you're awful. Not asked, because you've left Everton. If you are linked with Everton and then you sign for somebody else, don't care. I won't be looking at El Bilal Touré next season. I won't be checking if he scored. I won't be bothered if he does score. I won't be bothered if he doesn't score. I'm not bothered, because he's not an Everton player. And I think that's the way we have to approach it and move on away from players that obviously aren't signing for the football club. Mail Sport reported yesterday that Everton, Newcastle, Inter Milan, Torino are interested in Red Bull Salzburg defender Oumar Solet. The 23-year-old French centre-back has said he is interested in a move to the Premier League. Whether there's much in that, we will wait and see. Tutto Sport have reported Everton interested in Juventus's Samuel Erling Jr. The Blues are finding it difficult to sign Wilfred Gnonto from Leeds, who are demanding €30 million, and Juventus are asking for €20 million, but are likely to drop their price. Aston Villa are also interested. Again, another transfer rumour. Everton are interested in said player. Whether or not anything comes of it, we'll wait and see. Another similar situation to this, Sports Witness reported that Everton are interested in Club Brugge winger Antonio Nusa. The 18-year-old is contracted until 2027. Again, another example of Everton being interested in a player. Whether or not anything solid comes of it, we'll wait and see. Obviously, the most solid report at the moment is the Youssef Chermiti stuff. Everything else is merely just transfer rumours at this stage. And finally, according to the BBC, Everton have a mild interest in Leicester City forward Kelechi Iheanacho. No approach has yet been made for the Nigerian. Yeah, a mild interest, whatever that means. I have a mild interest in going to Florida on holiday in the next 12 months, but I have a really good understanding that it is going to cost far too much money and I won't be going. What even is a mild interest? There you go. There you go. Anyway, that is it for the moment. Obviously, the biggest news being the Youssef Chermiti stuff. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Let us know your thoughts on everything else that we've spoken about as well. Would you be interested in Rico Lewis, or do you, like me, think that there's absolutely no way that this is happening? And do you have a mild interest in anything in life? Let us know. Big thanks for watching. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. We'll be back live tomorrow, so don't forget to join us for that one. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you after.